Welcome to another episode of KSAX-TV. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Ken.
And on this episode of KSAX-TV, we'll be reviewing DC Universe Online. We received an early beta test of the DC Universe Online for the PC and the PS3. Ken, what did you think of the story of the game?
I thought it was interesting. Lex Luthor is in the future, and he's banded together a bunch of other supervillains, and they've gone and waged war on the superheroes of the planet Earth. And they finally, after this long battle, defeat all of the superheroes, and at that moment, Brainiac comes back from space and decides he wants to take over the world now that Superman and everybody else is gone. So Lex Luthor steals some of his technology to grant regular humans superpowers, travels back in time, and kind of spreads it around the world so that everybody can get to their own superpowers and have a chance against Brainiac when it returns.
The one thing that I'll have to say is the opening sequence, video sequence, is probably one of the coolest I've ever seen in a video game.
Awesome.
After the video sequence, what you get to do is you get to choose your character, whether if you want to be an evil character or a good character, and you also get to choose what powers you want them to have.
I noticed when I was creating my character, which I didn't get much past the character creation, that different powers made you different parts of the team. If you were a supporting character in healing, or if you were more of the generic tank, or if you were kind of the one that just did DPS all the time. And it depended. It wasn't what kind of character you chose, it was the powers you chose that dictated what role you played. Which I'm not sure if I like that. I kind of like the way that the only other superhero game I've played is City of Heroes franchise, where you could pick your different character type and then what powers that character has.
You can choose also, which superhero you want to be as your mentor. Like when I played it, I chose my mentor as Superman.
Of course.
So, so as you're playing the game, you get messages from him, and you can find them in different areas, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, of course I picked Lex Luthor to be mine because kind of a bad person to begin with. But I like that right away you could choose whether or not you wanted to be a good guy or a bad guy.
And that was kind of cool. I like that mix, that you could choose between the good and the evil. And by I noticed playing that there was a good mix of people that, a lot of them, there's a lot of villains, there's a lot of heroes. So there was a good mix playing. The fighting was very smooth. It reminded me a lot of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Like how, you could just move all over, and then just by hitting buttons, whatever direction you were pushed, facing and, hitting attack, that's where you would attack. And it was pretty easy. It was smooth. It was really easy to attack and do the moves.
Yeah, this was your first MMO, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
How did that play out? Did you come into it having different expectations for it?
I didn't really know what to expect. This was my first one, and I was expecting a lot out of it, and from what I seen, I loved it. It was so cool. Like my character, you know, had flying power, so I'd be like flying over the city, and you'd see all this like stuff going on at the bottom, and you'd fly down, and then you'd be like all these other players online fighting like these big robots or, you know, big monsters, and you could just jump in and, you know, start fighting and helping out. And
yeah, it's a lot different when they're not computer run players and they're actual people.
I don't know if it was just, you know, people having glitches with the game, being it was a beta, but there'd be a lot of like superheroes just standing around, not even moving or doing anything. You'd be like running past them, and then they would be just standing still, and then they would say, you know, what their username was over the character.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of people were, you know, having difficulties, you know, with the game, being it was a beta test.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes when I play MMOs, there'll be a slow connection and it'll stop me from moving altogether.
I can definitely see that there's going to be a ton of replayability with this game. It's just there's so many different side quests as you're playing. You'll meet up with a superhero and they'll tell you about a side quest, and then you can go do it, and then that'll lead to a different side quest, and then after you're done with that, then you can go back to the, you know, regular story. So yeah, there's tons of replay value.
I know when I play, there's just hours I get lost in the game doing nothing on the main quest, just wandering around.
The map is just huge. It's like you can just go forever, and you can go to, you know, Gotham or Metropolis, and it's just really cool.
Did you interact with any of the other players? Because I know one of the big selling points of MMOs is the people interaction, how you can do things with other people.
Yep, you can, you know, I played it for the PS3 and I had the headset, so you could talk to the other
that was a lot
people.
Easier.
Yeah, it was a lot easier. Or there's the option too, you know, you can just, if you don't have the headset, you can type and text, and it was pretty slick. You just hit a button, like a little keyboard would pop up, and then you just, you know, type that way.
How'd you feel about it being a superhero MMO? I know there are a lot of popular ones out there right now. Obvious WoW, and then Lord of the Rings Online, which are more fantasy games. How'd you think of it with being more of a comic book based one?
I thought it was really cool because, you know, I read comics, and I thought it was just really neat. You weren't the, you know, actual Supermans or the Batmans, but you were your own unique character, and I thought that was really cool.
When I was in the character creation, I couldn't help but feel like I was making a comic book character when I was doing it.
Yeah. And then as you experience, you know, as you gain experience through the game, you know, your character develops, and the powers you gave them increase, and they get different powers. And I do have to say that running super fast is, you know, the flash power is pretty cool.
I could not imagine my computer trying to keep up with the frame rate.
Yeah, I don't know how people did it, but I didn't pick that power. But you know, you'd be standing there, and all of a sudden, some character would be just flying right by you, and it'd be like, what the heck? And then you get like 3 of them on the screen, and it's just like, holy cow.
Was there anything that you found frustrating or that you didn't like about the game?
Yeah, one of the things was, as you're playing, you come across people that are different levels, you know, that are higher levels than you, or, you know, different monsters or villains that are computer controlled, that are, you know, higher level, and they can kill you in a couple of hits. And it's like you get into an area and you don't realize that till you start fighting them, and then after a few hits, then you're knocked out, and you don't really get killed, you get knocked out, and then you have to go back to like a checkpoint.
Were there any big achievements that you got? Do you have anything to collect in that one, like badges or anything?
Yep, there's throughout the whole city, like I pretty much was in Gotham most of the time, and all over there's like little medallions, and if you collect a certain amount of them, then you get some kind of a goal achievement. Another thing that kind of sucked was there was no instructions. There was, you know, a little bit of tutorial, but there was
mostly for movement. And attacking.
Movement and attacking, but it didn't explain how to, you know, what all the different functions of the game were, and so that was really frustrating.
The rest of it open.
Yep. So you had to experiment a lot.
DC Universe, does that have a monthly fee?
It does. It's a $15 monthly fee, and then when you purchase the game, it comes with an access code in it, so you get 1 month free.
What did you think of the game overall?
I really liked it. I mean, the graphics were really sharp. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It was really easy to pick up and play. I mean, for, you know, the control part, but just learning all the technical stuff of, you know, how to, you know, build your character more. I mean, that'll be really cool once, you know, figure out how to do that. But overall, I thought it was fun. I mean, interacting with other players that are, you know, on your same team or fighting against you. And I probably will give the game a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, it was really fun, and I can see it being very addictive. The graphics were amazing. The replayability is, you know, there's tons of replayability. I can definitely see people playing it for months upon months and not get sick of it.
Thanks for watching this episode of KSAX-TEG.
Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe.
The views of this video are not necessarily the views of Hubbard Broadcasting or its affiliate stations.
But if I had the headphones on, every 3 seconds I'd be like, no, left!
Yep.
Left!
Yep.
Don't run into that mob!
Yep.
This episode of KSAX-TEG is brought to you by Guerrilla Games and St. Cloud.